So today's video topic, we're going to talk about why not to fall in love. Why not to fall in love? Well, I can tell you a few reasons why not to fall in love. So falling in love is something like comparison to overdosing, right? So if you OD on something, you're going to get side effects. Just like drinking alcohol, you can take a few shots depending on your tolerance level. But if you have a low tolerance level, you're going to get drunk really fast. Well, it's the same thing with falling in love. If you fall in love very easily, you're going to notice these side effects of falling in love, and it's not a great feeling because it can make you in a vulnerable state. So for instance, if you're a man and you fall in love, you could become emotional. You could start thinking emotionally rather than logically, because men, we are typically logical creatures, and females are more emotional creatures. That's why we need each other, so we can bring the balance together. So this video can also help women as well, because if you fall in love, you can also be vulnerable as well and make decisions that you typically wouldn't make. So with that being said, you have to learn the difference between loving someone and falling in love with somebody. It's okay and it's normal for us to fall in love with each other. That's natural. But falling in love is not natural. That's when you also become obsessed with the person. You don't let them breathe. You don't let each other breathe. You start becoming obsessed. You want to spend so much time with them that you actually forget about your own life. And that's what I advise everybody that's listening, not just men, but also females too, that you also continue your own life when you're in a relationship and you're in love. So that way you don't find yourself falling in love and becoming, a victim of this overdosing of in love. So I don't recommend anybody to ever fall in love. I believe that we were told lies when we watch movies or we hear songs. It's telling us to fall in love and how much love feels, which love is a drug. And if you consume too much of it, that's where the overdose begins. So you have to learn how to balance everything, so that way you're not a victim of falling in love. Because there's been situations in my life where I fell in love and I made decisions that were not logical thinking. They were based off of emotions. So if you're a guy out there, which my channel speaks for mainly men, but this topic can also help for women too. So if you're a man out there and you find yourself falling in love very easily, I recommend that you take a step back from the situation and learn how to love yourself first, of course, and learn to love your own company and distance yourself from relationships and love, and learn how to balance it, so that way when you're finally mentally ready to get back into it, you can learn how to balance and not to overdose on falling in love. And the same thing goes for women. If you find yourself in a relationship that's toxic, that's basically a side effect of overdosing. And I understand that it's hard for us to not want these feelings because it could be very addicting. But the addiction is where you have to learn how to manage that, because a lot of people can't manage it, but you have to learn how to manage it. And it's baby steps. You're not going to be able to do this overnight. It might take you some time, but you have to learn how to manage it yourself. And one way to do is to be by yourself. If you're the type of person that always needs to be in a relationship and they can't be alone, I do recommend that you manage the art of being alone, because that will make you grow as a person. It will make you become more dependent on yourself rather than becoming dependent on somebody else. Not saying that you have to become independent, because at the end of the day, I still believe, even though that this world is crazy and relationships and marriages are failing, I truly believe that we still need each other. But you have to learn how to make the difference between love and falling in love, because a lot of the times when we fall in love, we don't love the person. We fall in love with the lust. We fall in love with the visual. We fall in love with how that person makes us feel, and we don't fall in love with the person or the character of the person. We fall in love for vanity reasons, not for logical reasons, or how that person actually treats us and versus how they make us feel, because feeling is temporary, but how that person treats you, as long as they're in your life, is forever. right? You could be a beautiful person, but if you're ugly on the inside, you have an ugly soul, it doesn't matter because looks are going to eventually fade. And so that's why we have to learn how to love the person for their character and who they are rather than the visual and, you know, the physical attributes of that, because like I said, that will fade. And you have to learn how not to become addicted to this feeling, even though that it could be very, very hard to do. Being in a toxic relationship, I know it's all about the highs and the lows. We really love the highs, and sometimes people can get also addicted to feeling that low, because if you feel that negativity and that feeling down low, it's almost like our bodies become adjusted and used to feeling those highs and lows, that if we get into a relationship where we're not feeling these highs and these lows, then we're kind of like questioning, like, why am I not feeling like this? It's because you have to learn how to take a step back from those relationships and kind of distance yourself from people, become like by yourself, and become learning how to master the art of being alone, loving your own self, loving your own space, your own time, having a life outside of relationships that also can involve other people as well, not just being by yourself. But I do recommend that you do things that involve like hobbies that involve yourself and not doesn't involve anybody else, because then you're going to become dependent on other people to create your hobbies. Does that make sense? So if you're the type of person that goes to the gym but you need a gym partner, I recommend you going to the gym by yourself, because you can't always depend on somebody else to make your hobbies work out. So like I said, try to master the art of being alone. If you have a problem with falling in love very easily and overdosing on loving, because that, like I said, that's the side effect of loving someone, is falling in love with somebody. And I don't recommend anybody to fall in love, but I do recommend for us to love each other, because that's what I believe we were created to do, is to love each other, but not fall in love, because like I said, that's the overdosing of loving each other. So leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about this topic. Let me know if you've ever been in love, or if you've ever been in a toxic relationship, that you guys can relate to what I'm saying, because at the end of the day, you know, we all see things through a different lens. By no means am I saying not to love somebody. I'm not saying don't love anybody. I'm just saying don't overdose on loving someone by, you know, becoming way too attached to them to where they become your happiness, because your happiness has to come within yourself. And then that other person, your significant other, will add to your happiness, and they will add on to the happiness and make it flourish, right? But you have to have the seed already planted and a sprout growing already before you start adding more to your garden, right? So you have to have the garden prepped and ready before you can have somebody else just come and say, okay, bring me my garden. I need a whole garden full of flowers and vegetables and all this other stuff. You have to have that already ready before you get into a relationship, right? And that person adds to it. And just remember, grass is not always greener on the other side. It's just green where you water it. I know you guys heard that a bunch of times, but it never gets old. So hopefully this video can help some of you guys out that are in a situation where, you know, I find myself falling in love very easily, or why am I addicted to this feeling of being in a toxic relationship or falling in love? Well, like I said, you have to first start with distancing yourself and not being too attached to people, and learning to love your own company, learning to love yourself, and not in a conceited type of way, but loving yourself as far as taking care of your body, your mind, your health, all that. So hopefully this video can help somebody. I hope it can reach at least 1 or 2 people. If not, just thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if you've ever experienced any of this. And Sosa Too Real. I'll see you guys on the next one.